first headliner. You can check her out. Just about to film a new show for ABC Family. Please, a big welcome for Emilia Barrosse, everyone.
Hey guys, how are you doing? Hello, Federal Bar. It is so good to be here. My name is Emilia Barrosse, actually, but he was close. And names are interesting, you know? Let's just say that. First names, especially to me, super interesting. You know, we connect with our first names on such a deep level, you know. They become such a central part of who we are. And it's fascinating to me that, you know, names can be so important to us, and yet we have no say in what we get named, you know. Like, we are just absolutely not consulted in the naming department in any way. And because of that, it results in the unfortunate situation where some people just walk around for the rest of their lives as Randy. You know, or Chauncey, which is really gnarly, you know? And it doesn't seem fair to me that I feel like no one deserves to be born into a Chauncey situation. Because if you're Chauncey from the get-go, like, what shot do you have at not being at least kind of a dick? You know, like, think of all the Chaunceys you know. The odds aren't good, is what I'm saying. And like, I know that if you hate your name, when you come of age, you can legally get it changed, but like, you still had to live your formative years as Gertrude. Gertie for short, which is arguably worse, you know? You still have to like, make it through high school as Floyd, you know? And that kind of emotional scarring, like, I don't care what you change your name to. You can change it to Jason, but you're still gonna be Floyd somewhere, always. It's gonna always hurt. You know, my name's pretty simple, sounds pretty simple, Emilia Barrosse, so I guess to compensate, my parents decided to spell it really weirdly, just so I guess I knew life was going to be hard from a young age. Like, my first name is Emilia, which we've all heard before, but my parents decided to spell it E-M-I-L-I-A, so it looks a lot like the name Emily if you're too fucking lazy to read to the end of a 6-letter word. You know, it's not a marathon, it's just 6 letters. But I am constantly getting called Emily, which means people are constantly looking at my name and going, I fucking get it, it's gonna be Emily, okay? Move on to the next one, don't have time for this shit. If I'm getting read off of a roster, 100% of the time my name is either mispronounced or people just ignore it and say whatever is in their heart at the moment. I guess it's the only excuse for the ways in which my name has been massacred. Twice in my life, within a span of 5 years, again, in case you haven't been with me, my name is Emilia Barrosse, okay? Twice in my life, I have been read off of a roster as Emily Bonaducci. Completely true. 5 years apart. First time, I didn't say present because I didn't know, I was confused, and everyone was confused. They were like, where is Emily Bonaducci on the first day of class? But the second time, I was like, oh my god, I think I've been to this rodeo. I think you mean Emilia Barrosse. And they were like, well, that's presumptuous of you. Oh my god, yeah, that's probably what I mean. It's tough. Speaking of tough, let's talk about the world for a hot second. Segue. The world. Does anyone else feel like we, as a collective humanity, are sprinting headfirst into the apocalypse? You know? Almost like it's a race, and we're pushing each other out of the way to get there first, there being the end of days, you know? It's just a nightmare. You turn on the TV, and there's death, and there's killing, and just like a blatant disregard for the sanctity of human life. You almost feel like you're watching an Animal Planet documentary, and a particularly brutal one at that, you know? Like, we as a people have just descended into an Animal Planet documentary. And I long ago decided I'm not watching Animal Planet again because I was, for that exact reason, it's too brutal for me. And the first time I watched it, first and last time, was a couple months ago, and I was unprepared to see what I saw, okay? Because all I wanted out of my Animal Planet experience was to figure out why cheetahs can run so fast. Because I had a cheetah phase, you know, and I wanted to know how it worked, you know? I wanted to learn something. So naturally I turned on the television, because I'm not going to read a book, if that's what you're wondering. I wasn't raised in Amish country, if that's what you're... I mean, there's a reason they turn books into movies and not the other way around. Like, I guarantee you there's not a single person out there that's going, well, yeah, sure, grown-ups too did fine in theaters, but imagine what I could have done in hardcover at a Barnes & Noble is all I'm saying. flying off the shelves. Shit doesn't happen. So I'm watching the documentary, and at first it's fine, you know, like there's adorable footage of furry little cheetahs running around. I'm learning what I wanted to learn. You know, cheetahs can accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 3 seconds. You know, and their small head and flattened rib cage minimize their air resistance, allowing them to accelerate at such speeds. So you're welcome, also. What else can you say? Because I know that's what you're thinking. And I realized by the end of the documentary, what I had, besides lasting emotional trauma, which we will get to, was just a bunch of really specific facts about cheetahs that are virtually useless to me in any social situation that I encounter, you know? Like, I would have to work to slip cheetahs into a conversation and make it sound organic, you know? I'd have to plan it. And I have, because this shit's up here, I'm not just going to do nothing with it. And the only scenario I've imagined so far is kind of like a Hail Mary, because no one's really even saying this shit anymore, but if someone goes, you know, we just couldn't find that Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 anywhere, could we? That then is my cue to sidle right on him and be like, right? Oh my god, yeah, it's like trying to find a cheetah in a closed biotope. Because you are just not gonna find a cheetah in a closed biotope, because they only live in open biotopes. You know, I'm talking prairies, grasslands, and high five for open biotopes. Nobody? All right. I know that's how it's gonna go down. But then next, the narrator says we're getting to a part called Lion versus Cheetah, and remember, I've not seen Animal Planet before, so I have no idea what could possibly be coming. I hear Lion versus Cheetah, I'm like, oh, awesome. I'm about to see a side-by-side comparison of lion speeds and cheetah speeds. Awesome! So stoked, this is how I'm going to spend my afternoon. I will not regret this. But then I hear low horn music, which is your first red flag. And the narrator's voice drops like an octave, which is your second red flag. I should have turned off the television, but I didn't know. And the narrator comes in and he goes, here, we see some unfortunate cheetahs finding themselves in the wrong place at the wrong time. Yeah, exactly. And what ensued can be best described simply as one lion, okay, killing and eating 4 cheetahs for no reason. Just a completely unprovoked and unwarranted cheetah slaughter and smorgasbord. And even the narrator did not really know what to say. Even he was like, no, this is quite awful when this happens. We don't really even have a term for this. I guess you just call this bollocks. It's complete bollocks when this happens. Which brings me to my second huge Animal Planet takeaway. Lions suck. A lot. The more you watch Animal Planet, the more you realize every animal out there gets the shit under the stick at some point, except for lions, because they're assholes. Like, they're at the top of the food chain, and they know it, and they're just shitting on everybody else below them. You know? Like, as long, basically, as you are running away and you clearly want to live, your ass is on the lion menu, okay? That's all it takes, you know? Complete assholes. Like, they have no redeeming qualities except that, you know, they are majestic and we gotta give them that, but, like, they're ugly in their souls, lions, you know? And so it's like now, after Animal Planet, I can't even think about watching The Lion King, because that ship has now completely sailed. Because right at the top, I'm like, Mufasa, I know you're an asshole. You pretend to be a good guy, but I know what you are. I've seen Animal Planet, you're not fooling anybody. You're an asshole lion, you know? Sitting up there on Pride Rock doing the good guy routine, pretending like you give a shit about all these animals that showed up to your kid's coming out party, okay? By the way, none of the animals at Pride Rock on that day are there because they're stoked that Simba is born, alright? No animal is jazzed about that scenario, okay? No animal is showing up to Pride Rock like, oh my god, just heard the good news. Are you telling me there's gonna be another lion out on the savannah with us? Yahtzee! Okay, let's sing about the circle of life, because our solo's fucking over now. No way Rafiki is holding Simba up going, hey guys, look, the newest member of our gang. We're gonna have so much fun with this kid. What he's doing is he's holding that asshole up as an Amber Alert to the rest of the animals going, get a good look at this fucker. He's gonna be eating us for the next 30 years, right? You have about 3.5 minutes left in this life song, then hightail it the fuck out of here. Hide your kids, hide your wife. It's fucking true. Anyway, but also speaking, I still am down to go to Africa though. I would love to see a safari. I love traveling, segue. Big into traveling. It's a tough dichotomy though, because I love traveling, but I hate airplanes and flying because I don't understand airplanes and flying, and so I fear what I don't understand. Like, me and airplanes are like dogs and vacuums, you know? Like, we don't know what's going on, and we're terrified, you know? It's like, usually, yeah, sure, we're usually alive by the end, but getting there is awful, it's a nightmare, you know? And so to get better, because I'm not going to stop traveling, I love it, so I have to fly. And so I try to talk to people who know about the how of flying, because I figure the more I know, the less terrified I'll be. A luxury dogs don't have, so I utilize it. Posable thumbs for the win, guys. And people, you know, I get a bunch of great ideas, but usually when none of those work, because I don't understand science, so like, don't tell me about the shape of the wing, it doesn't matter to me, it's still witchcraft. Then usually they end when they're like, but you know, Emilia, flying's, it's a miracle, okay? So just take solace in the fact that you're participating in a miracle and just calm down, okay? And I'm like, okay, simply the idea that I should be calm about participating in a miracle is stupid on its face, because a miracle only happens when shit is going down that should never, under any circumstances, be going down, okay? Like, miracles were invented, like, way back, like Genesis back, to describe a situation. I mean, like, they were invented, we all got together as a human race, which was, granted, easier back then because there was maybe only like 6 or 7 of us, and we all agreed that certain shit should never go down, okay? But then somehow that shit goes down, and we're like, holy shit, probably, you know, back then, we didn't know any better. What do, you know? Then we started killing each other and writing the Bible. And I'm no historian, but I'm assuming that was the order of operations. I'm assuming that's how it went. And then finally some genius comes around and he's like, guys, why don't we stop the bloodshed, chalk this up as a miracle, and move along? And we did, okay? And we did great things like fire and the wheel, you heard of them? And maybe my timeline is a little bit messed up, but the point is that we did great things once we got over the miracle trauma, okay? Which is why I simply do not buy that back in the Old Testament, everyone was just super gung-ho for the miracles that were going down from the get-go, you know? Like, do you really expect me to believe that when Moses kind of just moseys on out to the Red Sea and just splits it in half, you know, with a shepherd's staff, that there wasn't just one guy behind him looking at that shit and going, I am not going in there! What? No! I mean, sure, I live in a hut made of my ancestors' bones, but I'm not going in there! Jesus! No! Like, seriously, Moses says this insane thing where he makes what was previously one ocean 2 separate and distinct oceans with a fun-run nature trail in the middle. And in all the movies, everyone just kind of goes, well, that's exactly what we needed right there. Let's all get in there, guys, all of us, let's go. Like, there wasn't just one guy who wasn't going to waltz himself and his family and his livestock and tapestries or whatever the fuck he had back then into the ocean because some skinny guy with a magic stick said, no, I talked to God. God said it would be just fine. Let's go. Like, I'd be that guy. I'd be like, oh, no thanks, Moses, on the plan to walk into the sea, okay? I'm going to stay here on the land. Can't believe I even have to say this. Sure, I might get killed by the Egyptians, but at least no one will tell me I told you so. You know? It would be a dark victory, but a victory nonetheless, you know? But yeah, so I hate flying is what I'm ultimately trying to tell you guys about. And it's like at the point where if I even feel like the slightest bit of turbulence, I'm immediately in survival mode because I don't know what's happening, so all signs point to death for me, you know? Like if I feel even the slightest change in elevation in my stomach, it all goes like, I don't like this, I'm immediately like, all right, well, strap in, guys. This is the end, okay? But the joke's on us, right? Because what are we but a bunch of fat people trying to fly through the sky like birds? You know, I mean, they call the waiting area a terminal, for Christ's sakes. I don't even see this shit coming.